Okay, hello everyone. Today is March 12th. We're on the Hodlcast with Jacob Long. And Jacob is an attorney in the crypto space. And Jacob, maybe you could give us kind of a little bit of your background and how you got involved in cryptocurrency.
Well, my background, I would say, generally, I'm a voluntarist, which I'm not sure what your audience knows what that is, but basically I'm pretty extreme libertarian, I would say. But anyway, but the way that I got involved in cryptocurrency was first hearing about it through the libertarian channels. And this was in the mid 2012, I believe. And I didn't think much about it initially. Of course, I thought it was like World of Warcraft money and around there. But actually, it kept on popping up. So I looked into it. And once I actually understood the technology and what it did, I wasn't even surprised by the monetary aspect, which is what most people get hooked on. But I personally saw all of the technologies that are being built out today. So, for example, like stocks, I would say titles, anything that can actually be stored as a digital asset, a digital token. That's what I really got very, very excited about with the technology. And then from there, we saw some, I believe, the Cyprus event where they had the haircut and all that. So I just saw it as a means of being able to bring more freedom to individuals, and that helped, and that aligned in all sorts of ways with my personal politics and just the legal background where I'm coming from.
Excellent. So you were already an attorney by the time you got involved with Bitcoin, I guess.
Yeah, it was just around the time in which I got licensed. So just around that time was when I became involved in Bitcoin. Yeah. And then from there, I got a little bit involved in the legal aspects, helping some companies form, but very, very basics. But mostly what I would say is that I've done more consulting in the space, and just haven't really gone full force into the space, but just more like a supporter, a fanboy, I would say. So I just really support the technology. I'm involved in local meetups, which I've been involved in for years now. So that's the majority in which I'm currently experienced in the ecosystem.
Oh, excellent. And so there's one company in particular that you're working with, I believe, Open Bazaar. Is that, how did you get linked up with them?
Well, so Open Bazaar is actually a open source project. It's not a company.
Okay.
So this is in 2014. This is directly after the shutdown of the Silk Road. And how Open Bazaar came about was during a Toronto hackathon. And this was in April 2014, in which Amir Taki and the guys behind Airbits, now it's Edge, actually went through a hackathon and created this thing called Dark Bazaar. Essentially, they're just trying to provide a proof of concept that you can provide a marketplace, a decentralized marketplace that is not susceptible to being shut down. So, and then this was immediately picked up by Brian Hoffman, which is the current maintainer of the project. And basically, really soon after that, once they had like an alpha out, I started to get involved with the project. I don't quite remember, but it was very, very early on in which that happened.
Nice. And then can you explain kind of what Open Bazaar is, just in case any of our listeners aren't familiar with it?
Sure. Open Bazaar is a peer-to-peer protocol. And what it does, it facilitates the trade between buyers and sellers without a central market facilitator. So at its core, it is a protocol. It's code, but it's built in such a way as to facilitate trade. And right now, at least, it's focused on the sale and the sale of goods, and I would say goods and digital goods. I would say for right now, that's where it's focused.
And so what are some of the goods or digital goods that people can buy on it?
Okay, well, because it is a protocol, it's open for anything. So whatever the imagination can, come up with, you can buy and sell anything, which I've seen. I've seen the craziest things on there. I think the first things that became popular on the platform were stroopwafels in Europe or something like that,
wow.
or the Czech Republic. Yeah. And, but I would say mostly what we find now on the platform are Etsy type listings. So art related listings or crypto related listings, things of that nature.
So people are selling individual cryptocurrencies, like they'll sell their Dash or something like that to someone else on there?
That's correct. Actually, that is a new listing format. So this was just this past year, a new listing format was released to the platform, which is cryptocurrency listing. So now you can actually trade peer-to-peer or just person-to-person, cryptocurrency to cryptocurrency. So you can do that today. There's not too much of that happening right now at this time. So it's an over-the-counter type system.
Mm-hmm.
Or I can't remember what the actual term for that is. But you can actually do that today for no fees whatsoever. So you can sell cryptocurrency. Yeah.
To be a cryptocurrency exchange typically involves, a lot of regulation. So how are you getting around all of that, or are you?
Well, the thing is that since it's simply a protocol, there is no middleman. There is no entity in the middle. There's no legal entity or person. It's simply, this is done from person to person. So since there is no exchange type of regulations apply in that instance. Now, individuals may act as an exchange on the platform. They individually can be susceptible to regulations such as money transmitter licenses and things of that nature, but not necessarily. So you can run afoul of regulation, but it just depends on how the individual actors, how they go about their business.
I see. Okay. And so do people need to identify who they are when they're on the exchange, or I guess if they're...
Yeah, there is no sign up whatsoever.
Oh, wow.
There's no AML, KYC checks. There's nothing of that sort. Since it is simple, software, there is no requirement to do so. So buyers and sellers can come onto the network or leave the network as they see fit. You're not signing up to a service, so there's no logging in required whatsoever.
Oh, very nice. And I guess like a big question I've always had about this is, how is it different from the Silk Road? But I think you kind of explained that it's, in the Silk Road, it was like a centralized website, whereas this is decentralized peer-to-peer. So even if someone were to sell something illegal, it's not going through a central entity. So it would only be those two individuals doing the illegal act, or?
That's correct. So whoever's involved in the transaction, those are the entities that are responsible for it. Since there is no middleman, there's nothing to shut down regarding the marketplace. But as to the individuals involved, they can be susceptible to criminal or regulatory action, depending upon what kind of transaction is happening.
Mm-hmm. And have the regulators been, have they kind of left this alone, or have they done any inquiries, or are you at liberty to talk about that, I guess?
Well, personally for me, I am not. Okay, so I would say I'm a member of the open source project. But there is a company called OE1, which is a company that's the principal maintainer of the open source code, even though there are independent developers that are actually building on top of it. They're the main one, And they have been approached, I think, by the FBI, I believe, one time. But basically, it's a wait and see approach. Basically, the same thing we've seen with Bitcoin, I would say, or at least in the past. It was just, we just need to understand what this is. But there hasn't been anything of my, from my knowledge, there's been no enforcement mechanisms or anything that's specifically targeted the project itself.
Mm-hmm. And what kind of volume of transactions are happening on it? Like, I guess compared to an eBay or something like that, are people using it heavily or?
Yeah, actually, it's quite difficult to know because the software is peer-to-peer and because there is no central middleman, there is no way to know how much activity is actually happening on it. There are other metrics you can do, such as number of followers or any publicly available information that the stores publish or what buyers are willing to publish out to the network. So you do have the option when you run a store or run a buyer's node, I guess, to publish anonymous details to like OB1 or to the project. But the thing is, not everyone needs to. So there's no real way to actually know how much what's going on in the network, which is really good for from a privacy standpoint.
Yeah,
because you just don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Personally, for me,
go ahead. Sorry.
That's fine. Sorry. I just say personally for me, because I can see who, like personally, as what they call a moderator on the platform, which is a third-party arbitrator that's brought in or is selected. Once that happens, I can see who's added me as an arbitrator, but I cannot see what transactions are happening, how much is happening, or anything of that nature. The only indication is that someone has selected me. That's it. So the number of transactions that are happening through individual stores, I don't have that information. And the only time which I'm aware of a dispute is or aware of anything is when there's an actual dispute filed, and then I'm knowledgeable of what's going on.
Okay.
But
so you how many arbitrators are there on the site then?
I'm probably in the numbers of 50 plus, maybe. I'm not sure. I actually haven't gone and looked to see how many arbitrators there are. There are a number, which is possibly around 15 to 20, which are termed verified moderators, which are moderators that have been certified by the OB1 company to be real entities, real people, at least, and which I was the first one. And then there's a number of others that have been certified as what they term verified moderators on the platform.
Okay, so then if someone has some kind of dispute, they would go to you and you would, look at the facts and try and figure out a fair solution for them? That's
correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
Oh, do you think this is the future of, all kinds of retail opportunities, or?
I think it may. It's at least starting to be. What I find interesting, and what we have seen in the private arbitration ecosystem generally anyway, is that we are finding arbitrators that are experts in their field, whatever they may be, and where you hire someone not necessarily based on their legal acumen, but many times also according to their technical expertise in an area, and where you will choose them in order to resolve any dispute you may have regarding whatever issue you're encountering. So we may see even more diversification on what type of arbitration is offered, how people are choosing our arbitrators according to what metrics. We just don't know yet, but we're seeing some of that already. And I believe that in this space generally, when it's opened up even more, we'll probably see an even greater plethora of diversification of arbitration.
And are the arbitrators compensated, or what drives people to become arbitrators?
Yeah, so the arbitrators are compensated depending upon whatever their terms are. So, and that's individually priced or not necessarily negotiation right now, but just offered. So we have a wide variety of fees that are involved in how those fees are calculated. So I'm possibly probably one of the highest paid moderators, I would say, on the platform, but there's some of them that provide free services even. Mm-hmm. It just depends. And it just depends what people are willing to buy, I guess, or pay for.
Mm-hmm. I guess it would be not quite the same as like a jams arbitration or something like that, mm-hmm. but you could set up a similar rule set for people to agree to, should it just happen on one of these. Okay. Oh, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, it's very wide open in how the compensation works. So, yeah, mm-hmm. It's very, yeah.
And, there's been some movement among various government organizations lately that seem to be targeting privacy in Bitcoin. Is this something that you're worried about or anything like that? Like, for example, the FATF put out something saying that all anyone that's transacting in cryptocurrency should have a license. And then the Canadian Revenue Agency recently put out something asking Bitcoin users if they were using Shapeshift specifically, or if they were using any kind of mixers on their coins, trying to garner more information on that. What do you think is the kind of the direction that is headed from regulators?
Well, we have seen what they're doing, at least certain governments. So it is very concerning, especially for me, because I am very much a privacy proponent. And mm-hmm. Now, that's concerning on an individual level, but and depending upon what country in which you're located. Now, as a general matter, I'm not sure at this time, and I'm not sure exactly what policies certain governments are going to take, or what certain tax authorities, what they're going to do. But what I'm concerned with is that the technology, at least for Open Bazaar, allows you to retain privacy. So it gives you the tools in order to be private and to ensure your privacy, whether that be illegal or not. So now, as to my general concerns with what actions these governments are taking, I am concerned, I would say. The thing is that since I'm located in the US, we do have a tradition of upholding individual privacy. We have a constitutional amendment and the Fourth Amendment, which ensures our privacy. So it's a little bit helpful in those instances. But we never know. We never know what governments are going to do and mm-hmm. who they select to be under scrutiny. So in this case, it's directly related toward Bitcoin or cryptocurrency holders. And I especially with regard to the Canadian directive, it just seems to be like a fishing expedition. They're just trying to find something. There's no indication of illegal activity. They just want to go in there, snoop around, see if they can find something that's incriminating. So I'm sorry, I don't have any more positive news for this. It's kind of an
unfair question because I don't think anyone can answer, what will happen in the future with these government organizations. And but in general, do you think that blockchain, I guess it's like kind of we're at a bit of a crossroads. It's either blockchain's going to go down this kind of dark, or the opposite of dark, I guess, like illuminafied path where the government sees every transaction that happens on it, and it becomes kind of a tool for overall surveillance, or we go down a path where it is private. And I think technologists need to continue working very hard to stay, a few steps ahead of the regulators in that respect. And it seems like Open Bazaar is, really pushing the waters with it. And it's very encouraging to see people, working on these type of projects. And do you think that this will be something to help disintermediate other traditional sectors, or, in the future?
Yeah, so with regard to the tension we have with, of what direction we're going to go, we will see both approaches. We will see greater attempts, especially with regard to, let's say, in Europe, or to become a cashless society, so they can have greater power over the surveilling all of their population, because they don't want people to use cash. They don't want the ability to transact privately. So that is a current path that's being taken, but thankfully we have cryptocurrencies. We have private cryptocurrencies, Monero or Zcash, or things of those technology sorts, where it's by nature private. So I am both hopeful and scared for the future, and I think both approaches will be taken. Mm-hmm. So what has me, I would say, hopeful for the future is that these technologies are coming about now, giving the power and ability of individuals to be open or private in whatever, in their daily lives. So yeah, we see terrible things around the world, but hopefully, cryptocurrencies and related technologies will be able to actually save some individuals from those oppressive types of actions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think.
I'm sorry, did you have another question?
Oh no, I really liked your answer there. And I think we kind of saw that, or are in the process of seeing that with Venezuela right now. If you look at the local Bitcoin exchange, it's, transactions have gone up in that region considerably. So maybe those people could also be using Open Bazaar if you can buy, you can do peer-to-peer Bitcoin exchange on this as well. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Do you get to
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your last question.
Transactions are happening around the world? Like, is there some kind of thing showing you who's buying from where, or is that, private as well?
It is private. They do have the ability to see certain nodes in which they're connecting from. So IP addresses, which is, I think we have represented around 160 countries, I believe, that are currently running Open Bazaar nodes. So you do see that, unless you hide your IP, which you have the ability to do also. But for those people who don't do so, we do see a wide variety, or a vast variety of countries being represented. As for Venezuela, I'm not sure. I'll probably ask that question to other members and see what their response is. I'm not sure exactly now. Hopefully Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies become adopted more, especially in Venezuela in particular, in which people do begin to use it as a means of exchange, or other currencies as a means of exchange, and that way they can utilize technologies like Open Bazaar to start trading with each other without anyone in control of anything.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I was talking to Brian Hoffman at a dinner in Atlanta at the TAB conference, and he was saying he had come under a lot of scrutiny on Twitter by Bitcoin maximalists saying, oh, this should only be used as a store of value, and Open Bazaar is encouraging people to use it as a medium of exchange. Have you encountered that argument at all, or?
Yeah, well, the thing is that Open Bazaar began in 2014. We didn't have such arguments for Bitcoin. Bitcoin always was meant to be used as the currency for Open Bazaar, and everyone had been very positive for that. But in the fall of 2017, in which the Bitcoin prices skyrocketed, the activity on Open Bazaar just plummeted, basically came to a scratching halt. So they had to adopt other cryptocurrencies, and that's when you had a lot of this scrutiny and criticism coming about, where they were offering alternative currencies to be used on the platform.
I see. And now how many currencies can be used?
So currently at this time, you have Bitcoin, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, and Zcash at this time. And very soon there will be Ethereum on the platform.
Well, there will be what?
I'm sorry. So I said in the very near future, Ethereum will be supported on the platform.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Excellent. And do you notice a big difference? Well, I guess you might not get the information of that either, but of who's paying, like, are people doing more Litecoin transactions or more Bitcoin, et cetera?
I would say Bitcoin now is by far the most used currency at this time because fees have come down so significantly in the past year or so. So it's probably, I would say it comprises maybe half of the network and what's being accepted. I don't know exactly how much is being used.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would say Bitcoin Cash is second place, and then Litecoin and Zcash are third and fourth. I'm not exactly sure how much is accepted for those last two currencies,
Mm-hmm.
but it gives at least there is one privacy coin that's offered. So, and hopefully they introduce private transactions for that currency. And actually, there has been talk for Monero being integrated into the platform, and they're currently working on that right now.
Oh, very nice. Yeah. And I wonder with the new ones, the Mimblewimble protocol, like the Grin and Beam, they're probably still they're still developing those ones, I think. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say the general approach for currencies would be to have established coins in order to be adopted into the market, because it takes a lot of effort in order to get those integrated into the market.
Yeah.
They just want to make sure that we have strong cryptos adopted, because otherwise it's just wasted effort.
Mm-hmm. And probably also important to make sure, like, they are not any, I don't know that it would apply that much. Like you've said, it's peer-to-peer, but if it's still someone taking the initiative to put the currency on as a payment, then you don't want to be selling one that could be considered a security or something. And so anything starting off with the ICOs, other than we've got all that guidance on Ethereum lately, but
yeah, actually, I mean, anyone is free to integrate their coin into the platform. It's just usually many times it's people begging to have their coin integrated but not wanting to go through the effort to do so.
Oh, okay.
The vast majority of the time. So, but hopefully maybe one of those Mimblewimble based coins will get enough traction and where there'll be enough demand where the effort will be worthwhile in order to get adopted into the platform.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Excellent. And anything else exciting, in the works for it, or?
Yeah, actually, right now there are two interesting projects which are being built on top of the Open Bazaar protocol. So the first one I would say is Zukos or Zocos. I can't remember actually. Yeah, Zocos, I believe. So this is mainly focused for sellers who just want to have a merchant portal into the network. So you can go in, sign in, and just immediately start selling your items. There is a sign up, but it's just email. But you are still in control of your cryptocurrency. It just makes it very easy. So there's no downloading of any software or nothing. It's just a web portal. So that is one community-driven effort. And then OB1 is coming out with their own project, which is a mobile client, or actually a complete mobile app for iOS and Android, which is currently in alpha, which I have been able to try it out. It's very, very interesting. It's an entire Open Bazaar node. I would say it's a full node on the phone.
Oh,
and
wow.
that will enable anyone with an iOS or Android to post anything they want for sale. And actually, in addition, on top of it, it actually has its own social networking function. But all of this is all encrypted and private. They don't have any ability to see what's going on or know what sales are happening on the platform or anything. So any communication between buyers and sellers, that's by nature encrypted. And any sales, anything of that nature is also private.
So how I should have experimented with it a little bit before talking with you, but and it's something I've been meaning to do for a long time now is use that. And I am moving soon and I have a lot of things to sell. So maybe, this Zuko or whatever it is will be a good, it'll motivate me to get on there and try it. But if it's, so does the seller, like on eBay and whatnot, you can see comments from previous sales, like they get a reputation as someone that's trustworthy as a seller. Is that how it works here? Like so would someone have to send me their money first, then I sell them the thing? And what if I don't sell it? They would go to or I don't mail it, they would go to an arbitrator such as yourself. But with the nature of Bitcoin, like what if I just disappear?
Exactly, which is very interesting and what's unique with cryptocurrencies, especially ones like Bitcoin, and it enables multi-signature addresses, so multi-party transactions, which is not possible with any type of or any other form of money, just by nature of what it is. So in order to do a sale with, say, with me, you first deposit your funds into a multi-signature account.
Okay.
So, and at that time, the seller sends the item, and if everything goes well, both or the buyer releases funds to the seller and everything's fine. If there is some dispute that happens, the buyer or seller will open a dispute with me, and there's a 2 or 3 key. So I sign a transaction, and either the buyer or the seller, whoever wins or it gets the award in this instance, they will sign and those funds are released.
Oh, that sounds pretty fair. And then would the seller get a reputation built up after every good sale? Does something get notified, like, or is that information private too?
So they have the ability to leave a review, which any buyer can leave a review for any item. So on a 1 to 5 scale, I believe, with their comments involved, and they cryptographically sign their review. So that is stored on the seller's web front, basically, and anyone can see it, and everyone can verify that it's a valid review.
Okay. Oh, nice. And what would you say is like the most common types of things that are being sold?
So I would say the most common items generally would be cryptocurrency related items. Okay. So cryptocurrency related art or clothing or just collectibles, anything of that nature is probably by far the most traded item. And also video games, anything in which, this ecosystem is generally interested in. So the demographic, I should say, what is interested in is probably traded the most on the network. I personally have been able to moderate like the sales of automobiles, homes. I mean, like actual homes are being sold on Open Bazaar. That's very rare, but very high-end items, worth, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars have been offered on the platform.
That's interesting. Someone came to me to broker a home sale in cryptocurrency, and I was a little bit worried that they might have been, sound like a tinfoil hat, but that they might have been in, we've had a lot going on in Florida lately with the Espinoza case and undercover cops trying to, do deals on local Bitcoin exchanges and whatnot. And I just got a little bit, as the conversation was going on, they didn't seem at all cost sensitive of what I would charge to put the deal together and whatnot. And it just kind of made me a little bit suspicious of who this person was wanting to broker the home deal in Bitcoin. So if not, next time they call it, because I don't want to take it as a client, I'll just be like, oh, I've heard you can sell real estate for Bitcoin on this website. Go check that out.
Yeah, I've been concerned, and I do have it in my terms of service or terms of moderation where, I can't be involved in, say, money laundering schemes or anything of that nature, because that is most likely probably what was going on. So I am more restrictive on what I do moderate. Mm-hmm. So, but it seems that people do self-select the moderators or moderation or arbitrators, I should say. So my terms of arbitration are pretty cut and pretty clear, that I will refuse to provide any services for anything that is criminal in nature or anything like that sense. But I don't get I really don't get any of those types of people, really. They seem to, at least if they do add me, they immediately drop me. So
yeah,
I never
they probably
them.
don't want they don't want them.
Yeah,
they probably maybe already know each other offline and then use who knows, but yeah. But that sounds like a safe bet to have some clear terms to protect yourself. Yeah.
But we find moderators that will do anything. I mean, it's an open system, so there's no official vetting process. Anyone can use it for however they want. But it seems that the ecosystem tends to naturally weed out those types of actors because they're just not supported. So it's much more difficult for those people to readily use the platform as easily as other sellers.
Oh, sounds like a really a great project, and I'm looking forward to checking it out a little bit more myself. And I was not worried, but questioning how is this happening legally, because we have seen such harsh consequences for the Silk Road website, and then also for any exchanges selling, like Ether Delta was supposedly a decentralized exchange and they still got in trouble, but there's a difference because they were taking a fee on each transaction, and it sounds like that's not happening here. So there's really no way to link anyone except for the two peers that are doing it.
Yeah, that's correct. So there are no fees at all whatsoever on the platform. And even for me, I don't take a fee either until a dispute is filed. So only at that time is there any kind of fees for the platform, but you don't have to use me. So you can use it directly peer-to-peer for no fees whatsoever. Wow. And I think I failed to mention the project for the mobile app, which is called Haven. HAVEN. So you can just do a quick YouTube search, and see what that is all about. And they actually do have a Twitter handle for that, I think Haven app, and they have much more information about that. So I'm really excited. I think this technology is just able to, as I said before, just disintermediate these actions that we used to take for granted. We used to buy and sell from each other. There weren't middlemen. There wasn't a Visa. There wasn't an eBay between people. But the problem was, with the advent of the internet and for traditional currencies, we weren't able to do transactions with each other online without these other large companies. And we're taking a cut and being able to suck up as much private information from us as possible. And with cryptocurrencies and with technologies like Open Bazaar, we can take the privacy back. So I'm really, really excited for the future.
Yeah, me too. Sounds, excellent. And where can people find you if they have any, additional questions or anything like that?
Well, you can find me on Open Bazaar and message me on there. You can go to openbazaar.org in order to download the client. You can go to openbazaar.com and just browse the network and see what's being offered. And then you can message me on, as I said, on Open Bazaar. My Twitter handle is Jacob Ian Long, Esquire, ESQ, I think, for Esquire. Those are probably, and also my Reddit username is the same. So you can, private message me with any questions you may have.
Okay, perfect. I'll put those in the links, like in the comment section under the video.
Oh, great.
All right, Jacob. Well, thank you so much for your time and illuminating how the legal functions of Open Bazaar works, or lack thereof legal functions for the peer-to-peer nature of it. So that's really encouraging, I think, to the whole space that this is possible, and maybe a really good way to look for the future of peer-to-peer commerce.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, and have a great day.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye.